Show me the money, eh? Show me the money, eh? Charles Bronx Oliveira faces Iron Michael Chandler in a long-anticipated rematch at Madison Square Garden in the co-main event. My prediction in this video. Hello and welcome to Bloodsport MMA. It was the fight that started the whole Charles Oliveira hype train, his whole title reign and everything. Charles Oliveira fought Michael Chandler a few years ago when Khabib laid off the title, he retired and the title was vacant. Those two gentlemen fought for the vacant lightweight belt and Charles Oliveira knocked Michael Chandler out in the second round with, I still say, the most perfect left hook I've ever seen in my life in an MMA fight. And yeah, became the new undisputed UFC lightweight champion and everything. The rest is history, right? But now they rematch several years later and the fight is in some ways still the same, but in some ways also different. What is different? Different is that back then Michael Chandler was active. Michael Chandler just came from Bellator, fought Dan Hooker, knocked him out quick and was actively fighting. And now Michael Chandler has been out since over 2 years. Last time he fought was 2022, if I remember that correctly, against Dustin Poirier in the middle of the year somewhere, or was it also Madison Square Garden possible? At least he just fought Dustin Poirier, nearly finished him. But as always, Michael Chandler always manages to somehow beat his opponent, but then instead of finishing him, do a mistake and get finished himself. That's always how it ends for Chandler. Same as it did in the first fight between Chandler and Oliveira, but I will come to that in a few seconds. For Charles Oliveira, he is still very active. Last time he fought was at UFC 300 against Arman Tsarukyan. He fought for the belt several times since then. I mean, since the first fight, Charles Oliveira fought Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, he fought Islam Makhachev, he fought Arman Tsarukyan. I hope I didn't miss anyone there, but he fought the who's who of the lightweight division, right? Whilst Chandler fought Gaethje and Poirier as well, true. But since then, and Tony Ferguson, yeah, he fought Tony Ferguson as well, okay. So they both fought good names, but obviously the strength of schedule for Oliveira is much stronger, and that can be a very important factor in a fight like that. Because if you have a guy that comes back from a 2-year layoff, that can really affect someone. And we don't know how much it will affect Chandler, because Chandler is not 30 anymore. Chandler is 37, if I remember right, 37, 38, something like that. He's old, especially for a lightweight, he's old.
You look like a 50-year-old retired skateboarder.
If you know it, if you know like the history of MMA and fighters that get old, it can happen like that in a heartbeat, that your speed and everything is just gone and you just look like a shell of yourself.
Too slow and too stiff.
The hard thing about this prediction is we don't know how Chandler will look. We really don't know if we will see the same Chandler that fought Oliveira the first time. And the thing that we just have to consider is, I mean, Chandler, the risky thing about picking Chandler in any fight is that I just mentioned. Chandler can win a fight for the whole duration of the fight and then just somehow, because of one weird decision, because he sometimes just seems pretty autistic in there and just tries to do random stuff that has no reason or benefit at all, like when he tried to suplex Poirier and stuff, just stupid stuff that cost him the fight in the end. And he always ends up losing those fights, I feel like, those important fights. But Chandler, if Chandler is on, he can beat any lightweight on the planet. And what really affects my prediction, because I have to say, normally I always have some kind of bias in my head for a fight, but in this fight, I mean, I'm a huge Charles Oliveira fan. Here, signed glove of Charlie du Bronx. I'm a huge Charles Oliveira fan. But I somehow always liked Chandler as well. I always really liked Chandler just for the whole persona. He seems so real and so transparent and just as American as it gets. The nickname Iron just fits perfectly. So I really like both those guys. I really don't want to see any one of them lose. I want to see both of them win. But what really influences my pick, and I really like to, when you have two fighters that fought each other before and not like 10 years ago, to just base my prediction on that fight. because that's as much information as we can get. And if you look back at that fight, you saw that Chandler actually has the perfect style to fight Oliveira. Because Oliveira always has the problem that if someone really like explodes on him, no did he?
And I'm coming all night long.
What he does defensively is just move his head back a little bit, but ever so slightly. He doesn't really have huge defensive movements or a perfect shell or anything, and he gets clipped a lot with punches where people just... He's very good with defending normal straight punches when you just know a punching range, but he has problems if someone is really like exploding forward with a punch, and that's what Chandler does. That's how Chandler knocked out Dan Hooker. That's how Chandler dominated in a way Charles Oliveira in the first round. Watch the fight back. Chandler had so much success with his shots and Oliveira couldn't really block them. Oliveira had so much problems defending Chandler's offense. Because Chandler just, like he always does, like throws a jab or something, goes to the body and comes up with a huge hook.
Jab, slip, uppercut, backhand, roll.
While he moves forward, like nearly jumps into you, the way Buckley knocked out Wonderboy, just jumps into you with a hook and breaks the distance by that and comes with huge power. And even if you maybe have your hands up and you block it a little bit, you still get hit and get hurt with it. And I really feel like Chandler has, if he fights the way he fought the first time, if he's still that guy and still that fast, he has the perfect style to beat Oliveira. Because in the first fight, Oliveira, yeah, he had his back in the first round because Chandler tried to engage Oliveira on the ground, which wasn't the smartest option, I mean. Other than the perfect left hook in the second round, Oliveira did not really have anything for Chandler in the stand-up. Really not. Chandler just hurt him several times. It's still a mystery how Chandler didn't finish him in the first round when he had him knocked down on the ground and just pounded his head in, and Oliveira somehow just survived ever so slightly by just moving his head on the ground. Chandler has all the tools and the perfect style to beat Charles Oliveira. And I really hate to admit that, but it's true. It is just a fact. And I just believe that Chandler comes back so angry in a way because he wasted over 2 years of his life waiting for someone that ended up not fighting him even though they were scheduled to fight. And I think Chandler has such a anger inside of him that he needs to let out, and Chandler has a mentality in the fight and his brain is wired that way in the fight that this fight he can't lose. He didn't wait 2.5 years just to come in there and get finished again by Charles Oliveira and get thrown back into the rankings. He knows that if he wins that fight, he's in for a title shot. And he will not let that chance slip. I really think he comes in there with a "you will have to kill me to get me out of there" mentality, like he always has, but even stronger this time. And I really believe that Chandler just wants it more at this stage than Oliveira, in a way. And I do believe that Chandler will go in there, and my gut just tells me he will knock him out with one of those left hooks where he just goes to throws the jab, goes to the body and comes up swing with a left hook like he did against Hooker in a way, and like he hurt Oliveira in the first fight. So my official prediction is Michael Chandler knocks out Charles Oliveira in round number 1, actually. At the end of round 1, Michael Chandler knocks out Charles Oliveira and yeah, has a absolutely crazy post-fight interview like you always ask, calling for Conor, Islam, whatever, and will shock the world in a way, because I think most people believe Charles Oliveira will win that fight. What do you believe though? Write it in the comments. Do you think Chandler will finish Oliveira? Oliveira will finish Chandler? I'm talking nonsense. Write it all in the comments, you guys. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel. Would appreciate that. Check out the Bloodsport merch as well, bloodshop.net. The link is in the bio. Check it out, you guys. My merch site. We're about free shipping with the code FREE. Stay bloody. Until the next one. Bye-bye. Bloodsport out.